Hey there, and welcome back to my channel. I am so glad you're joining me again as we continue our journey through the different syllable types. Now, if you're new here, again, my name is DiGilio. I was a primary teacher for 23 years, and on this channel, we talk about all things reading instruction, the science of reading research, and structured literacy. So I'm so excited you're here with me today. And if you're not a subscriber already, please click that little subscribe button and that little bell next to it so that you're alerted every time one of my new videos goes live. If you've been following along, you already know about closed syllables, silent e-syllables, open syllables, and R-controlled vowels. That's a lot. I hope you're starting to feel a little bit more confident in your abilities to lead students in mapping activities, especially when it comes to really diving in and learning about syllables and syllable types. So today we are diving into the world of vowel teams. Now, vowel teams can be a bit tricky, but with a little practice, they will become second nature. So with that, let's get started. What are vowel teams? How do we define vowel teams? A vowel team is when two or more letters work together to represent a single vowel sound. Now, many of these teams create long vowel sounds, but some do represent short sounds or even different sounds altogether. So today, we'll start by focusing on vowel teams that represent long vowel sounds, and then we'll explore some of the vowel teams that create different sounds. And then after that, we're gonna dive into Diff Thongs, which are special vowel teams that make entirely new sounds. So first, let's start with long vowel teams. These are groups of two or more letters that represent a long vowel sound. Here are some of the most common regular vowel teams. AI, as in rain, train, and paint. AY, as in day, play, and gray. EE, as in sea, tree, and green. EA, as in eat, read, clean. EY, as in key, they, and money. OA, as in boat, road, and goat. OW, as in snow, grow, and yellow. OE, as in toe, hoe, and foe. IE, as in pie, tie, and lie. And IGH, as in high, night, and light. Each of these vowel teams creates the long vowel sound, which is the same as the vowel's name. For example, AI in rain represents the long A sound, and EE in C represents the long E sound. Now let's talk about vowel teams that are a little bit more unpredictable. This can be because they represent sounds other than the long vowel sounds, or because they don't always represent the same sound in all words. Many vowel teams come from Anglo-Saxon words whose pronunciations have really changed across centuries. So here are some of the most common ones. OO as in moon, long OO. OO as in book, kind of the short OO. EW as in new, long U. UI as in fruit, long U. UE as in blue, long U. AU as in author, short AW. AW as in awe, short awe. AUGH as in caught, short AW. EA as in bread, short E. And A as in father, that's short O. Do you notice how these are more unpredictable? For example, the OO in book creates that short O sound, different from OO in moon, which is that long OO sound. And the UE represents a different sound in blue than it does in Q. And understanding these variations is really the key to mastering vowel teams. Next, we want to dive into Diff Thongs, which is kind of a special type of vowel teams. This is where the concept comes of there are 6 syllable types or 7-syllable types. This is where there's some differentiation among people who talk about syllable types. This is where people will say there are 6-syllable types where they're considering diphthongs part of the vowel teams. Or if you're separating out diphthongs, that's where 7-syllable types come in. So you might see it either way. So now this special category of vowel teams is called diphthongs. Now, if you're not 100% sure what a diphthong is, you are absolutely not alone. Even the pronunciation of the word diphthong can cause some discussion between educators. Unlike the vowel teams we just talked about, diphthongs represent an entirely new sound, a blend of 2 vowel sounds together within the same syllable. A diphthong sound begins with 1 vowel sound and then glides into another vowel sound. Now, diphthongs can be found at the beginning, the middle, or the end of words. So let's go over some of the most common diphthongs. OI as in boil, coin, and soil. OY as in boy, toy, and joy. OU as in out, shout, and cloud. OW as in cow, now, and down. Now, diphthongs are unique because they combine 2 vowel sounds into a single glide-like sound. For example, oi in boil starts with an O or an aw sound and glides into a long E sound, creating the diphthong oi. When you pronounce a diphthong, you'll notice your mouth moves. And one thing to note is that when you are using a sound wall that has visual pictures of the mouth formations or how the mouths look when you're articulating a sound, it's really great to show that when you're talking about diphthongs, that your mouth position actually changes because of that gliding sound. It starts with ow. So your mouth is changing when you're saying that sound. This is such an important part of when you're using a sound wall or you're implementing a sound wall in your classroom to really show that the mouth changes when you're looking at diphthongs and learning about diphthongs. Same thing with oi. We're starting with oi. Oi. The mouth position changes. So using a sound wall that shows these different mouth positions when you're teaching diphthongs is really important, and it really helps our English language learners as well. And if you're looking for a great sound wall like the one I just showed you and the one behind me, you could absolutely find that link in the description below. And of course, all of our sound wall cards, the phoneme cards, of course, come with grapheme cards that are just easily separated, and you can put these little grapheme cards right under the phoneme card after you introduce that particular phoneme to the students. So we have the grapheme cards that go right under the phoneme cards. You don't see that on my bulletin board behind me, but we do provide the grapheme cards as well. So if you're looking for a wonderful sound wall that is well-made, strong, durable, and of course laminated, you can definitely check out the one that's in the description below. Now let's move into mapping vowel team words. So what we're going to do is we're going to map out a few of these vowel team words to see how the sounds align with the letters. I'm just going to use my Map It paddle right here to demonstrate how we map the word rain. So we're going to start with the word rain. I say rain, students say rain. Rain, 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 rain. Let's tap out the sounds. R, A, N. Again, R, A, N. You could have students tap on their desks as well. So we know there are 3 sounds or 3 phonemes in the word rain. So we're going to bring up 3 of our discs. We bring up 3 discs because there are 3 sounds. Now, as we push them up, we say the sound. R, A, N. Now we start mapping the graphemes associated with the phonemes. What grapheme represents the sound in rain? R. Now, sometimes what I will do is if we're dealing with vowel teams and vowel teams are new, I'll go to the end, and sometimes we'll map the ending sound before we go to the middle. I do that sometimes depending on what the sound is that we're working on and if it's a little bit tricky or not. Typically, I'll do this. Also, if it's a heart sound, sometimes I will skip to letters that have their typical sound, and I'll skip the heart sound and then we go back to it. So I'll say, let's move on to the last sound. What's the last sound you hear in rain? What's this last sound? N, because again, that represents its regular sound. Now, what we need to know is that this vowel team in the middle is a predictable vowel team because it does represent the long A sound. So what we're going to do is we have R, A, N, and that middle A sound is made with an A, I vowel team. So we mapped the R to R, the AI to A, and the N to N. And that's how you map the word rain. Next, let's map the word moon. I say moon, students say moon. Moon, 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 moon. Now we tap out the sounds or phonemes in moon. M, oo, n. Again, m, oo, n. There are 3 sounds in the word moon. So we bring up our 3 discs for the 3 sounds in moon. Now here, because the O in the middle of moon is kind of that unpredictable sound because it can make multiple sounds, this is where I like to go at the beginning and the end. So I'll say, let's bring up our discs and say our phonemes or sounds. I always use those words interchangeably. M, oo, n. What letter or grapheme represents the m sound? M. What letter represents the n sound in moon? The letter N. So we mapped the M and the N. Now let's go to the middle. We have oo in the middle. What letter or grapheme or graphemes represent the oo sound? Again, this is unpredictable. That double O has multiple sounds. But in this case, it represents that long oo sound. So we'll add that OO to the middle. Moon. And there we just mapped the word moon. Finally, let's map the word boy. So boy, boy. I say it, they say it. Boy, boy. Now let's tap out the sounds. Don't say buh. We want to make that sound tight. We don't want to add that schwa onto the buh sound. We don't want to say buh. We want to say buh, buh. So we have oi again. Oi. There are 2 sounds in boy, so we push up our 2 discs. Now we're going to move those up as we say the sounds. Oi, oi. What letter or graphemes represent the b sound? B. And now we think about the oi sound. The vowel team, OY, represents the diphthong oi. So we map the B to the b and the OY to the oi. Now, when teaching vowel teams, it's really important to emphasize the different sounds that they can represent. So always start with more predictable long vowel teams before moving on to the ones that create different sounds. Diphthongs should really be introduced as their own category since they make a very unique sound that's different from the other vowel teams. And you should really encourage your students to listen really closely to the sounds in each word and really use word mapping to connect those sounds to the corresponding vowel teams. It's just so important. And this is really going to help solidify your students' understanding and make reading and spelling so much easier. Now, before we wrap up, let's talk quickly about some high-frequency words that break the rules, kind of like the word said and been. Now, these are very common words that technically follow the vowel team pattern where at least 2 vowels appear together representing 1 sound. However, instead of representing a long vowel sound as we might expect, the AI in said and the EE in been represent short vowel sounds of E. So when we're mapping an irregular high-frequency word, like the word said, a word that students in lower elementary see over and over and over again in so many of the books that they read, a great process or way of teaching high-frequency words is through the heart method. So basically, you're going to do mapping just like we always do. I say the word said, 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 said. We tap it out. S-e-d. Again. S-e-d. There are 3 sounds in the word said, Okay, so we bring up our 3 discs for 3 sounds in the word said. Now, like I said before, I'll start with the sounds or the phonemes that have their regular sound. So we'll start with, what is the grapheme or letter that represents the S sound? We're going to bring up our discs. S, E, D. Okay, so what letter represents the S sound in said? S. So we'll put S, and then I'll go to the end. Let's skip to the end of the word said. What letter or grapheme represents the D sound in said? Said. What do you hear? You hear D. What letter represents that sound? D. Now here in the middle of said, what do we hear? S, E, D. We hear the E sound. What letter typically, or letters, typically makes or represents the E sound? It's an E. But in this word said, this is a tricky part. This one doesn't follow the normal rules that we've learned where an E makes the S sound. In this word said, the E, that S sound, is made with an A-I. So this doesn't follow typical rules that we've learned. Now, we typically know AI makes the long A sound, but in this word said, it has the short E sound. And this is the part we must learn by heart. So we draw a red heart under the heart part. We color it in. You could do it under or over, because this is the part we need to learn by heart. So because said has regular parts like the S and the D and one irregular part, we teach that part as a heart word. So this is the way we have to learn this part by heart, because it doesn't follow the typical rules, because AI is making an E sound in this word. And that's a very easy way of teaching high frequency words that have an irregular part that doesn't follow typical spelling rules or phonetic rules of what letters make specific sounds. So this is the way we could teach those irregular high frequency words. And one thing to note, remember, you don't want to introduce more than 1 to 2 words in a single session this way, but keep up with it. I promise it will pay off. When you're doing irregular high frequency words like this, it's really important to only do a couple at a time, not overwhelm them with so many. Just lastly, a quick note on some of the mapping tools. You know, we have our Map-Its paddles. These are for word mapping. I have some writing on the back, but it's blank on the back. It's got word mapping on the front. You can find these in our shop or on Amazon. And of course, that link is below in the description if you're looking for a word mapping mat. Of course, we also have one where you can download it below, and then you can laminate it and use it over and over with your students. So definitely keep an eye out and check out those links below in the description to help you with these mapping activities. I really hope that this video helped you, and this is kind of a wrap up on vowel teams. So remember, from long vowel sounds to diff thongs, understanding these patterns is a crucial step in becoming a fluent reader. So I hope this breakdown helps you teach your students how to recognize and work with vowel teams in their reading and their writing. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. And again, if you're new here, please click that little subscribe button and that little bell next to it so you're alerted every time one of my new videos goes live. And again, we've got our next video coming next week with our next syllable type. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you found it helpful. I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.